Okay, so this piece is taken by an article by Steve Barwick, May 19th, 2020. The ritual wearing of the mask. Have you ever wondered why in Revelation 17:5 Babylon called mystery Babylon? You already know that the word Babylon means confusion. But what does the word mystery mean? Here's what Strong's Concordance tells us. From a derivative of muo, to shut the mouth, a secret or mystery through the idea of silence imposed by initiation into religious rites. Don't overlook that. The word mystery in the Bible has to do with shutting the mouth as one undergoes a secret religious initiation. Again, it's the idea of silence imposed by initiation into religious rite. After all, at this point in time, over 30 countries, including the United States, are now forcing their citizens to wear masks over their mouths on a mandatory basis. This, even though numerous medical experts, including Surgeon General of the United States, have openly stated that wearing masks has no beneficial effect whatsoever against the coronavirus. What's more, numerous medical experts have attested to the fact that face masks can even be dangerous to one's health and that they curtail clear thinking by trapping carbon dioxide in the chamber of the mask, forcing you to rebreathe it over and over, thus depleting your blood of fresh air and the life-giving oxygen component it contains. So why are the powers that be globally forcing their citizens to wear these face masks if the masks simply don't work against the coronavirus? And it might very well be dangerous to your health. The answer may or may not surprise you. Masking has traditionally played a very important role in occult rituals. Among other things, the wearing of the mask over one's mouth is a token of submission, a gesture of your willingness to be subject to others who are not your usual sovereign. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, mask wearing is a form of disguise or concealment usually worn over or in front of the face to hide the identity of a person and by its own features to establish another being. In other words, the wearing of a mask represents an occultic transformation, a human alchemy, if you will, from one role to another, from one manner of being to another, indeed, in this case, from individual sovereign under God to collective subject under the children of the devil. You see, the masking ritual is specifically designed to reverse the order of hierarchy set in place by God Himself. In the hierarchy of your Heavenly Father, you are a sovereign representative of His Word on this earth, and your job is to speak His Word on His sovereign behalf to others. In other words, He's a king, and you are a prince or princess of His kingdom, and your job is to carry His Word to others so they too can get on board with it and return to the Father eternally through Jesus Christ. As it's written regarding our primary duty as Christians in 2 Timothy 4:2. Preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long-suffering doctrine. And you must be ready and willing to do so at all times. So, it says as such, you must always remain unmasked because your job in your earthly role as one of His faithful representatives is to speak and explain His word to others. And to do so, you must open your mouth. You cannot be muzzled or masked. And wearing the mask is a powerful occult symbol indicating your submission to another power other than the Creator God, who gave you the direct commission to preach His word to the world. The entire point of occult ritual mask wearing is to hammer home to your subconsciousness until it becomes completely true in your daily life, the idea that things are no longer the same and will never be the same again. Masks hasten the suppression of ego to help facilitate the death of the old identity before the identification with and the manifestation of a new identity. It's an initiation into a new order, but it's also a transformation of self into a new position in that new order. Under the sway of the occult ritualist, you being mouth-masked are no longer the person you used to be. You're no longer a designated mouthpiece of God on this earth. You're suddenly demoted and reassigned to this position of obedient subject. Symbolically, you become a serf in the new order. That's your role. your new identity as represented by wearing of the mask. The wearing of the mask is simply part of the initiation ritual used to visually and psychologically signal your consent to this new arrangement. So by wearing the mask, you're signaling to your consent to accept a new and very different position in a new global order. So instead of being a sovereign representative of the Most High God and His Word on this earth, in essence, we have all been agreeing to become a willing subject and a slave to the very enemies of God and His Christ by wearing these masks that have been mandated. And masked, you are now willingly serving the enemy's purposes and no longer God's. When you obediently put the mask over your mouth, you're symbolically saying to the ritualists, I admit my words no longer have any purpose or relevance in this life. My sole purpose now is to obedience to your words and commands. And in raising themselves to the position of your new sovereign and muzzling you like a dog in the process, they alchemically create a new you in a new role under new rulers. That's the alchemical transformational change involved in the ritual. They're quite literally attempting to take the place of God in your life and make you their willing subject. They're becoming yours instead of Christ. And by placing the mask on your face, you're becoming their unwittingly faithful servant. You're being ritually initiated into the new order. You may not realize it, but in occult magic, the victim doesn't have to be knowledgeable of the meaning behind what he or she is being told to do. The performance of the ritual itself on demand is all that matters. So who exactly is doing this to us? Little children, it is the last time, and as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now there are many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. 1 John 2:18. You didn't think these many Antichrists would sit around on their hands all day doing nothing in the final days of this flesh-earth age while they're waiting on the return of their father the devil in his role as a false messiah, did you? Naturally, they're softening things up for their God before he gets here. They're using ceremonial occultic ritual magic on a global scale to capture the entire world in their dragnet. By wearing the mask, you're being symbolically and alchemically transformed, reborn into their new global system through occult ritual programming. More from the Encyclopedia Britannica on ritual mask wearing, the person who wears the mask is also considered to be in direct association with the mask's spiritual force, and is consequently exposed to this personal danger of being affected by it. Upon donning the mask, the wearer sometimes undergoes a psychic change and, as in a trance, assumes the spirit character depicted by the mask. So the spirit force of the mask is what we're talking about. And its powers that be who have mass muzzled and demoted you to their new status of slave on the behalf of their god, the devil himself. The mask-wearing ritual is designed to possess you with the spirit of subservience to your new overlords, who are the many antichrists of 1 John 2:18. And it sets you up to do the same when the Antichrist arrives and offers his actual mark, which we'll examine at the end of this commentary. Well, I may not get to that in this video. So, through the wearing of the mask, the occult ritualists have created an army of Karens, programmed automatons who take the ritual so seriously that they feel personally and physically threatened when you don't, and they don't mind telling you so. The Encyclopedia Britannica goes on to say about the masking ritual, usually, however, the wearer skillfully becomes a partner of the character he is impersonating, giving to the mask not only an important spark of vitality by the light of flashing from his own eyes, but also bringing it to life by his movements and poses. In other words, in the end, the mask becomes part of the very identity of those who wear it. The occult transition becomes complete. The new you is born from the ritual. The Encyclopedia Britannica further states, but often the wearer of the mask seems to become psychologically one with the character he is helping to create. He seems to become an automaton without his own will, which has become subservient to that of the personage of the mask. Sorry for my mispronunciation. You might want to think about those dozens of online videos showing fully masked hospital nurses and hospital workers participating in elaborately choreographed TikTok dance videos while simultaneously thousands of hapless coronavirus victims are supposedly dying cruel deaths and being stacked up like cordwood in those very same hospitals. Well, aside from this article, I can tell you why a lot of them are making a lot of extra money because of all the deaths and the extra coronavirus measurements that are being taken place in hospitals and healthcare workers throughout the US and Canada. I know because I also work in healthcare. So back to the article. Yes, a veritable mass dance of death, just like you see in the movies. And we all know who Mr. Death is, don't we? Revelation 6:8. The pale horse was named Death. And what's more, by adding dance, the mask-wearing new slaves show their willingness to entertain their captors to become little more than flesh play sports to them, just as the Babylonian soldiers of old tried to force the Israelite captives to entertain them with music. So the people by and large don't even realize the depth and severity of the attempted coup against them, because it's being accomplished almost solely through occultic ritual deception, which is why God's word warns us that there will be times we can't even trust our own neighbors. Jeremiah 9:4. Take heed, every one of his neighbor, and trust ye not in any brother, for every brother will utterly supplant, and every neighbor will walk with slanders. First, the powers that be deceive your neighbors into putting on the mask. Then your neighbors, thinking they're doing it right, work to push you into doing the same, using peer pressure or virtue signaling. Well, now it's not even the neighbors, it's literally our governments are making it mandatory for us to wear them pretty much in any public place, even in certain private settings. If you refuse to be deceived as they are, they'll slander you, turn against you, and work to supplant you. Does it sound at all familiar to you? But the mask wearing has another occult meaning as well, which we've only lightly touched on. To better understand the symbolism of wearing a mask, try typing the word censorship into Google Images. Well, I wouldn't recommend Google because it tracks you, so duckduckgo.com. And see what kind of illustration predominantly comes up. There's a sampling of what you'll find. I can't show it to you at this moment, but I might try and upload a picture during this video. It's basically people with X's across their mouths. That's also why our figurehead leaders are ostensibly refusing to mask up. We are the ones being gagged, not them. Gags are a symbol of subservience and domination. They are deeply humiliating. That is why people resist them so much, and that is also why they are currently being made mandatory around the world. And yes, there is a little doubt the unproductive barbarians behind the circus are enjoying themselves. They believe they are being subtle like the serpent. CoronaCircus.com continues by pointing out, this also involves imposing their symbol on us. The esoteric interpretation of the mandatory gagging ties directly into the symbology of silence that is as old as occultism itself, showing many pictures of people with the finger across the mouth. Hush, the silent symbolism. And another little thing particularly that you love to keep silent about is on a caption on a box of standard face masks, this product says, this product will not provide any protection against COVID-19, coronavirus, or other viruses or contaminants. Yeah, they admit it right on the box. Finally, occultworld.com states, the wearing of the masks, ancient peoples understood well the power of the mask. Evidence of mask wearing in prehistoric society shows that masks may have been intended to transform the wearer magically. The mask has been revered as a sacred object of power, a living thing that either has its own persona or represents the persona of another being. It enables the wearer magically to bring to life and even become the persona or spirit represented by the mask. The mask is a mediator between ego and archetype, the mundane, worldly, and the supernatural, the sacred and the comic. It connects the present to the past, the individual to the entire collective of race, culture, country, and humanity. In other words, Mask wearing is symbolic of the silent acceptance of humanistic one-worldism under Satan. What might that eventually look like? There's much, much more to the wearing of the mask than we've been led to believe. Mask wearing is a very occultic phenomena and always has been, literally for thousands of years. Indeed, it's a striking example of mysterion, a secret religious initiation having to do with silence being opposed by the shutting of the mouth. By now, you understand the mask wearing has nothing to do with coronavirus, but instead with the filthy pagan and cult beliefs of our present overlords who are seeking to make us willingly their slaves through psychological programming and aka occult ritual programming. But don't be surprised, this is what occultists do. Like the story of the lady who rescues the helpless snake only to have it bite her later. In making you wear the mask, the powers that be are initiating you into their new order. They are demoting you from your position as a sovereign representative on the earth to the Most High God to your new position as a dependent slave of their system, aka their mystery Babylon, which can very simply be translated silent confusion. Can the power of this occult ritual be stopped? Well, I think it can. And as a Christian, you can simply opt out of the ritual. Well, at least we can try, except there might be some pretty harsh repercussions. So I'm going to finish that for now, but there is a lot more to this article if you'd like to read it for yourself. On haveyenotread.com, it's called Occult Ritual Transformation and Coronavirus. How mask wearing, hand washing, social separation, lockdowns are age-old occult rituals being used to initiate people into new global order by Steve Barwick, published on May 19th, 2020. And I'm going to end that right here. And good night, everyone. Educate yourselves.